when we are really honest with ourselves, we must admit that our lives are all that really belong to us. So it is how we use our lives that determines the kind of men we are. It is my deepest belief that only by giving life do we find life. That the truest act of courage, the strongest act of manliness, is to sacrifice ourselves for others in a totally non-violent struggle for justice. To be a man is to suffer for others. God help us to be men. This is a quote from Cesar Chavez. I found this on bradyquote.com. And well, to summarize the meaning of this quote is, Cesar Chavez meant that for us to be men, the reason for why we live is to make others, to make everyone else's life easier, to make everyone else's life equal. We are all men, so we should all be equal. And if we want to be considered men, we should help each other to be equal. My sources are quotes from Cesar Chavez, from bradyquote.com/quotes/author/Cesar Chavez. Second one is Cesar Chavez Facts and Quotes, history.com/topics/Cesar Chavez. And 3 facts about Cesar Chavez was on the Smithsonian.com, Smithsonianmagazine.com/history/how Cesar Chavez changed the world. My name is Alicia Huerta, and I'm here to give y'all a tribute to Cesar Chavez. We're going to recognize his pure and unselfish motives, how he overcame many obstacles, and to explain how Cesar Chavez benefited society. Nothing in the world would change on its own. In order for something to change, people have to take affirmative action. Well, I think this quote explains a lot of what Cesar Chavez lived by. He changed a lot of lives and he changed society today. Cesar Chavez, his pure and unselfish motives. Well, I guess that can be explained through his early life. And, from childhood, Cesar Chavez was, he himself has saw and experienced as many struggles of minority farm workers. He saw the unfair work treatment, he saw the low wages, he saw the no job security, and he saw that life for a minority farm worker was very difficult, and it had many struggles. A quote from Cesar Chavez: "There are vivid memories from my childhood, what we had to go through because of low wages and the conditions. Basically because there was no union. I suppose if I wanted to be fair, I could say that I'm trying to settle a personal score. I could dramatize it by saying that I want to bring social justice to farm workers." I found this on history.com, and this quote explains most of his struggles. Like I said, he experienced many things that most of the farm workers went through. He himself was a minority farm worker, and so this quote explains it. He was born to an immigrant family in California. No, he was born to an immigrant family in Arizona, and when they had lost their Arizona hempstead during the Great Depression, they had moved to California where they were thrusted into an industrialized agriculture. Cesar Chavez ended up having to drop out of 8th grade to help support his family because of the low wages that his father had. He later joined the Navy, and eventually he came back to farm working, not as a farm worker, but as an advocate. He wanted to make change. His tremendous passion to fight for his civil rights was an exhibition in selflessness and love. He wanted to make change. He wanted to change things that he saw were unjust, and he wanted to make the lives equal for the minorities. His pure and unselfish motives had aided him through the many obstacles thrown at him. Cesar Chavez, in the beginning, he came across many obstacles. Not many in the community helped him a lot, went against his movement. No one believed that he had the right to fight for what he believed in. Everyone was basically against his his movement. In the beginning of the movement, many communities refused to help him. They refused to accept his notion of equality, and some resorted in killing and beating many farm workers. From the beginning, there were many odds stacked up against Cesar Chavez and his movement. Strikes were brutally crushed. Many of them weren't allowed to continue to strike. The agriculture industry was very powerful and had a lot of control because of the riches in California. They were one of the richest industries in California at the time, and they bought off many political personnel, so that was a great obstacle. Cesar Chavez's goal was to unionize farm workers, and in doing so, he brought many farm workers together, and he unionized them by giving them hope, giving them a voice. He told them by unionizing that they can be a powerful force in changing things, and they were. He even organized voter registration, which is great because the Hispanic community isn't very active in that area, and he emphasized the power of it. And so he also initiated complaints of mistreatment by police and welfare officials. He brought that to the media's attention, and he empowered workers to seek a deeper education and an understanding of politics. Cesar Chavez really put an emphasis on education. In order for minorities to reach the American dream, they had to become educated. And he pushed through obstacles by uniting many migrant workers and farmers. And he worked tirelessly and studied history to try to find a peaceful solution to their problem. And that's where he found the and he wanted to do it peacefully. And around this time, it was a time of change, and he saw that nonviolent protest was the way to go. And his protest consisted of picketing, hunger strikes, boycotts, and the use of lobbyists. His boycotts were one of the most successful in American history. His boycott of table grapes was still one of the successful ones today. His tireless efforts resulted as a great benefit to society. Cesar Chavez benefit society. One of his benefits to society was the United Farm Workers Union in 1962, the union that fights to negotiate many contracts for farm workers, and it stands to protect farm workers' rights. He advocated better education for minorities. He wants minorities to be able to reach a higher class and have more respect in our social class in America. He gave farm workers the right to dignity and better wages. He gave minorities and farm workers a voice. He showed them that the power is in their voice by speaking up and showing, and taking nonviolent acts, that you can make change, that they have the power. He was a dedicated champion of equal rights, not just for farm workers, but for all Americans. He showed all Americans that we need to stick together and fight for what's right, and that's equality and justice for all. He showed the world that through unity we can accomplish theoretically anything, and I believe that is right. That is true. A quote from Cesar Chavez, once social change begins, it cannot be reversed. You cannot uneducate the person who has learned to read. You cannot humiliate the person who feels pride, and you cannot oppress the people who are not afraid anymore. It's a quote by Cesar Chavez from brainquotes.com. And one of the quotes basically saying, once something changes in society, you cannot take it back. Once people have spoken, you can't silence them. And I think it's a very empowering quote for unity. My concluding remarks. Well, for those of us who have ever lost faith, Cesar Chavez teaches us that to never give up. No matter what obstacles are thrown at you, no matter the hardships you live through and were brought up in, you can make change, you can make positive change. That we are not a person of our situation, that our situation does not affect us. That I am not my situation. And that we work hard, that with hard work and belief that all are created equal, that we can aspire to create greater things. As he once said, "Si se puede." In English it means yes we can. And that's it.